Project Sentinel, Episode 21, The Ghost Map. 1. The Silent Corridors. Inside the 350-meter alien relic, the air was frozen, artificially still. A team of engineers from the Atlas Arrival, led by Chief Engineer Sarah Jenks, moved through the gut of the ship. Their lights sliced through the darkness that had reigned for a millennia, catching on the iridescent ribs and golden filaments that still clung to the walls. They moved past the bridge and into the secondary tiers, the living quarters and the galley. Here, the architecture was almost organic, with halls that curved like the ribs of the great beast. Jenks ran a gloved hand along the bulkhead made of that dark, independent hybrid lattice. It felt cool and slightly yielding, as if the material remembered the pressure from long, dead hands. "Look at the wear on these deck plates," one of the engineers muttered, pointing to a subtle depression in the center of the corridor. "They lived here for generations. This just wasn't a scout ship. It was a home." They entered the galley, finding rows of honeycomb structures. Jenks leaned in, her light revealing a brittle, calcified remains of what might have been a nutrient paste. The substance has frozen into crystalline shards, scattered like broken glass across the counters. She felt the chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. "It's a tomb," she said softly to her team. "A perfect, unbreakable shell, but the life that filled it is long gone. There's no ghost in this machine. It's just a hollow monument now." The team moved on in silence, their lights dancing across the walls. Every curve, every seam, all seemed to whisper of a people who had once filled these spaces with a purpose. Now, only echoes remained, and the faint metallic tang of the hybrid lattice that outlived them all. 2. The Navigator's Dilemma. Billions of kilometers away at the Pluto relay, the bridge of the Vigilant was immersed in a tense technical debate. Lieutenant Miller, the ship's primary navigation officer, sat staring at the black void beyond the viewport. He turned to Zahn and Bradley. His brow was furrowed. "Doctors, I've been running the math on this skip drive," Miller began. His voice was hesitant. "The Pluto jump was a known vector. We've had centuries of telescopic data on this coordinate. We knew the space between here and L4 was essentially empty." He gestured to the vast dark expanse past the Kuiper Belt, the Oort Cloud and the interstellar void beyond. "But if we skip to a coordinate outside the Sol system, how do we know we aren't skipping directly into a rogue planet, or a dense cloud of nickel-iron asteroids? If the ship skips into the intervening space, we are effectively blind to any obstacles at the other end." The bridge went silent. The only sound was a soft hum of the hybrid hull and the occasional ping of a distant Kuiper Belt object on the sensor net. 3. The pause. The bridge went silent. Captain Cray turned from the window, the weight of the logic settling over the room. If the ship occupied the same physical space as an object at the end of their skip, the resulting molecular displacement would likely vaporize them both. "He's right," Bradley admitted, looking at the X, Y, and Z coordinates on his screen. "Our mapping protocol is anchored to Sol Prime, but it doesn't account for masses that we can't see. A skip isn't a flight. You can't steer or course correct once the toss is initiated. Once we start, we have to end." Zahn rubbed his chin, staring at the charcoal gray consoles. "We've been thinking of this as a single leap into the stars. We need to start thinking this as a survey." The crew exchanged glances. The skip drive had shrunk the solar system in one toss. Now it threatened to stretch it back into infinity if they skipped blind. 4. The Pulse Map Protocol. "We don't need a permanent trail yet," Zahn said, refining the strategy. "We do this in cycles. We skip out about 20 light minutes, drop a temporary sensor buoy, and then that will scan the volume of the next cell of space. and then we skip a little bit further. We skip, drop, and skip again. Once we've cleared the corridor, we can return to the cradle. We'll leave a permanent sensor at the very edge of our Oort Cloud, Bradley added. That will be our shoreline. Everything beyond that is deep water. The buoys we drop during the skip will give us the ultra-high resolution data we need to build the galactic map. But they don't need to stay there forever. It's a verification run, Cray summarized. We prove the path is clear, drop the shoreline marker, and then come home. We aren't building a bridge today. We're just making sure there's ground on the other side. Bradley nodded. Each buoy will carry a small resonance transceiver. When we return, we can tune them to the skip field, and they become part of the network, our temporary eyes in the dark. The plan was simple, methodical, and terrifying in its ambition. Skip blind, drop a sensor, skip again, map the void one step at a time. 5. The first step into the dark. On level 10, Alara received the updated mission profile via the resonance link. The golden line on her map didn't just end at Pluto anymore. A new dotted vector appeared, extending outward into the inner edge of the Oort Cloud. They're starting a survey, Alara said to Vance, who stood behind her. They're skipping out to map the debris field. They'll be dropping temporary sensors as they go. Vance watched the tactical display where the Vigilant was already preparing for its next toss. They're marking the trail. If they succeed, we won't be guessing about the dark anymore. We'll have a cleared corridor to the stars. On the Vigilant, Cray looked at his crew. Bradley, calculate the first survey vector. Let's see what's hiding out in the fringe. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as the resonance coil powered up. The hum began again. Low, steady, inevitable. The Vigilant shimmered emerald and then vanished. Somewhere in the outer dark, a new path was being written. One skip at a time.
This concludes today's SFDF log. If you want to ensure our signal remains strong across the sector, please hit the like button and subscribe to join the crew. Your support helps us keep the mission alive. Don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss a transmission. We drop new episodes every Tuesday and Friday at 1800. Until then, keep your mag boots locked. End transmission.